First Contact's price. The Vex Confederation's flagship, Eternal Dawn, hung in high orbit above Earth like a crystalline dagger. Admiral Zarek stood at the observation deck, his 4 eyes narrowed as he studied the blue planet below. 300 cycles of uncontested expansion had made the Confederation arrogant, but something about this preliminary survey made his scales itch. "Preliminary scans complete, Admiral," announced First Observer Calthy, her voice carrying the distinctive harmonic overtones of the scientific cast. "The humans' technology appears to be rudimentary. Their ships rely on primitive chemical propulsion, and their defensive capabilities are negligible." Zarek's secondary hearts pulsed with unease, and yet they colonize Mars in less than a century. "Show me the anomalous readings again." The holographic display flickered to life, showing a cascade of data from their long-range sensors. Scattered throughout Earth's orbital infrastructure were strange energy signatures that defied conventional analysis. They appeared and disappeared at random, leaving behind quantum distortions that shouldn't exist in a civilization at this technological level. "The signatures don't match any known civilization's energy profile," Calthy admitted. "We've detected similar anomalies near their lunar bases and Martian colonies. They're masking something, or testing something," Zarek corrected. He'd seen too many species rise and fall to underestimate newcomers. "What do we know about their research facilities?" "That's the peculiar thing, Admiral. Their public scientific institutions focus on basic spaceflight and terraforming, but we've detected massive power draws from facilities that officially don't exist. The energy consumption rivals our largest shipyards, yet we can't determine their purpose." Zarek clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. The Confederation's standard procedure was clear: assess, intimidate, and if necessary, subjugate. Humanity would be offered the same choice as countless others: submit to Confederation authority or face extinction. But something felt different this time. "Launch the probe drones," he ordered. "Full spectrum analysis. I want to know what they're hiding." The drones deployed silently, their stealth fields making them nearly invisible as they descended toward Earth's atmosphere. For several hours, they transmitted data without incident. Then, without warning, 3 drones simply vanished. "Impossible," Calthy whispered, her scales paling. "The humans shouldn't have the capability to detect our probes, let alone—" Her words were cut short as the ship's sensors screamed in alarm. Where the drones had disappeared, space itself seemed to ripple. A massive vessel emerged from what appeared to be a fold in reality, a ship unlike anything in the Confederation's database. The human vessel hung there, its hull composed of shifting geometric patterns that seemed to exist in more than 3 dimensions. No weapons were visible, but the energy readings from it caused the Eternal Dawn sensors to fluctuate wildly. "Admiral," the communications officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission. Text only." The message appeared on the main screen, simple yet chilling. "Your drones violated restricted space. This serves as your only warning. The Earth Defense Coalition does not recognize Confederation authority. Further intrusions will be met with immediate response." Before Zarek could formulate a reply, the human ship began to shift. Its geometric patterns flowed like liquid mathematics, and then it simply ceased to exist. Not cloaked, not jumped to FTL, but completely removed from normal spacetime. "Full retreat," Zarek ordered, his voice steady despite the fear coursing through his hearts. "Send word to the High Council. The humans, they've mastered quantum displacement technology. They're not primitive at all. They're operating on principles our science can barely comprehend." As the Eternal Dawn prepared to jump away, Zarek kept his eyes fixed on the seemingly empty space where the human ship had been. The Confederation had stumbled upon something unprecedented, a species that had skipped conventional technological development and gone straight to manipulating the fabric of reality itself. The standard procedure wouldn't work here. For the first time in 300 cycles, the Vex Confederation would have to consider the possibility that they weren't the most advanced civilization in this sector of space, and that realization terrified them more than any conventional weapon ever could. "Send a second message to the Council," Zar-X added as they prepared to jump. "Mark it as highest priority. Tell them we may have made a grave mistake in underestimating humanity." The Eternal Dawn disappeared into FTL, leaving Earth behind, but Zar-X knew this was only the beginning. The Confederation would never accept a potential rival with such advanced technology. They would return in force, and then they would learn exactly what humanity was capable of. What they didn't realize was that humanity was counting on exactly that. The silent defense. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the heart of Quantum Command, watching the holographic display of Sol system with intense focus. The Vex scout ship's retreat had bought them time, but everyone knew it was temporary. Hundreds of quantum displacement signatures flickered across the display. The Ghost Fleet, hiding in plain sight, phased just slightly out of conventional reality. "They'll be back," Fleet Admiral James Rodriguez stated, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic light. "The question is whether we're ready for them." Sarah traced her fingers through the hologram, highlighting the quantum field network surrounding Earth, Mars, and key colonial installations. "The displacement grid is operating at peak efficiency. We've successfully masked 90% of our military capabilities from conventional scanning methods." "And the other 10%? Rodriguez asked, though he already knew the answer. "Bait," Sarah smiled. "Everything they can detect is exactly what we want them to see. Primitive chemical rockets, basic plasma weapons, rudimentary shield technology. The perfect picture of a young species just reaching for the stars." The truth was far more complex. Humanity had discovered quantum displacement technology not through gradual technological evolution, but through a mathematical breakthrough that had rewritten their understanding of physics. Dr. Elena Torres had cracked the code 15 years ago, realizing that space-time wasn't just flexible, it was programmable. The implications had been staggering. While other civilizations focused on brute force approaches to space travel and warfare, humanity had learned to slip between the folds of reality itself. The Ghost Fleet wasn't just ships. They were quantum algorithms given physical form, capable of existing in multiple states simultaneously. Latest intelligence suggests the Confederation is mobilizing a substantial force, Rodriguez said, pulling up new data streams. Their entire Third Fleet is being redirected to this sector. Over 2,000 ships. Sarah nodded, unsurprised. They're used to overwhelming force solving their problems. "How many ghost ships do we have ready?" 317, Rodriguez replied, "plus the quantum defense grid and the displacement mines. On paper, we're heavily outgunned." "Good thing we're not fighting on paper then," Sarah said, manipulating the hologram to show the quantum landscape around Earth. To conventional sensors, it appeared nearly empty. But to those who knew how to look, it was an intricate web of possibilities. Each ghost ship existed in a quantum superposition, simultaneously present at multiple strategic points until observation collapsed them into a single devastating reality. Director Chen, a young officer, called out, "We're detecting quantum ripples from the outer system. The long-range sensors you designed are picking up FTL signatures. Big ones." Sarah exchanged glances with Rodriguez. "They're testing our waters, sending in stealthed probes to map our defenses." She gestured at the hologram, and new data points appeared. "See these distortions? They're trying to be subtle, but you can't hide quantum wake patterns from our sensors." Rodriguez leaned closer to the display. "How many probes?" "At least 50, all using their most advanced stealth technology." Sarah's fingers danced through the hologram, making minute adjustments to the quantum field, "which makes them perfect for our purposes." "Director," Rodriguez said cautiously, "the Council hasn't authorized offensive actions yet." Sarah's smile turned predatory. "This isn't an attack, Admiral. It's a demonstration." She entered a final command sequence. "Watch." Throughout the solar system, carefully hidden quantum displacement fields activated. The Vex probes, thinking themselves completely undetectable, suddenly found themselves trapped in overlapping fields of fractured spacetime. Their advanced stealth systems, instead of protecting them, made them more vulnerable to the quantum distortions. One by one, the probes winked out of existence, their matter and energy scattered across multiple quantum states. Not destroyed. That would be too simple. Instead, they were transformed into data, their every secret laid bare to quantum analysis. "Send the data to analysis," Sarah ordered. "Every scrap of Confederation technology, every communication protocol, every strategic algorithm, it's all there in their quantum signature. They just gave us everything we need to understand exactly how they think and fight." Rodriguez stared at the display, where the quantum ripples were already settling back to normal patterns. "They'll know we detected them." "Of course," Sarah agreed. "That's the point. Let them know we can see them. Let them wonder what else we can do." The Confederation built their empire on being the strongest, most advanced civilization in known space. How do you think they'll react to discovering they might not be either? Alarms suddenly blared throughout the command center. The quantum sensor network was lighting up with massive distortions, the kind only caused by large-scale FTL transit. Multiple capital-class signatures detected, the sensor officer reported, his voice tense. "The Confederation Third Fleet is arriving. 2,300 ships, spreading out into attack formation." Sarah watched the holographic display as it filled with enemy signatures, her expression calm despite the overwhelming numbers arrayed against Earth. "Right on schedule," she murmured. "Now we get to show them what humanity is really capable of." The Ghost Fleet waited in quantum superposition, each ship existing in multiple states of possibility. They had transformed warfare from a game of force into a dance of probabilities. The Confederation was about to learn that their understanding of reality itself was dangerously incomplete. Paradigm shift. High Admiral Kextar of the Vex Confederation Third Fleet stood aboard his command ship, the Infinite Dominion, watching his armada spread across the Sol system. 2,300 warships, the pride of the Confederation Navy, arranged in perfect attack formations. Their energy weapons were primed, their shields at maximum power, their targeting systems locked on Earth's primitive defenses. "Send the ultimatum," he commanded, his voice carrying the weight of centuries of Confederation victories. Standard terms: complete surrender and submission to Confederation authority, or total annihilation. The message was transmitted, its contents practically ritual after hundreds of successful conquests. Kextar didn't expect surrender. The humans had already shown unusual defiance, but protocol demanded the offer be made. The response came almost immediately, in the form of a single line of text: "Your terms are rejected. Withdraw immediately." Kextar's scales rippled with amusement. "Initiate the attack pattern. Show these upstarts the price of defiance." His fleet began to move, thousands of ships coordinating in a deadly dance designed to overwhelm any defense. That's when reality began to break. It started subtly: sensor anomalies, targeting systems showing phantom readings, communication delays measured in microseconds. Then the quantum distortions began. Space itself seemed to writhe and fold, creating patterns that hurt to look at directly. "High Admiral," his sensor officer called out, panic evident in their harmonics. Multiple ships reporting critical failures in reality coherence fields. Before Kextar could process this nonsensical report, the first ghost ships revealed themselves. They didn't decloak or emerge from hiding. They simply became, as if they had always been there, occupying spaces that his ships had just scanned empty seconds before. The human vessels were beautiful in their impossibility, their hulls shifting between states of matter like liquid mathematics. Where Confederation ships relied on brute force and energy shields, these vessels slipped between the fabric of space-time itself. "Impossible," Kextar whispered as his tactical display tried and failed to track the human ships. They existed in multiple locations simultaneously, probability waves rather than solid matter, until the moment they chose to interact with his fleet. The first strike came from everywhere at once. A ghost ship materialized inside his formation, its quantum field intersecting with 3 Confederation cruisers. There was no explosion, no dramatic energy discharge. The cruisers simply ceased to exist in normal spacetime, their matter and energy scattered across quantum states. Return fire. Kex-Tar roared, but targeting the ghost ships proved impossible. How do you attack something that exists in a superposition of states? The humans had turned uncertainty itself into a weapon. Across the battlefield, more Confederation ships vanished, transformed, or found themselves displaced thousands of kilometers from their formations. The carefully coordinated attack dissolved into chaos as ship captains discovered their weapons were useless against enemies that could choose which reality to exist in. High Admiral, his communications officer called out, "We're receiving a transmission from the human command." Dr. Sarah Chen's hologram appeared on the bridge, her expression stern but not unsympathetic. "Your weapons are based on manipulating energy and matter. Ours control probability and spacetime itself. You cannot win this fight, High Admiral. The laws of physics themselves are on our side." As if to emphasize her point, a ghost ship phase shifted through the infinite dominions, supposedly impenetrable shields, passing close enough for Kex-Tar to see the quantum equations flowing across its hull. It could have erased his flagship from existence. Instead, it left them intact, a deliberate demonstration of mercy. "What are you?" Kex-Tar demanded, his proud voice shaking. "We are humanity," Sarah replied simply. "We didn't follow your civilization's path of technological development. We found our own way. Your sensors can't detect our true capabilities because you're looking for the wrong things. You search for energy readings and mass signatures while we operate on the level of quantum probability itself." Around the infinite dominion, the battle, if it could even be called that, continued. The ghost fleet danced through spacetime, systematically disabling or displacing Confederation ships without destroying them. It wasn't a fight. It was a lesson in humility. "You have a choice, High Admiral," Sarah continued. "You can keep trying to defeat what you don't understand, or you can withdraw and report to your council that humanity is not to be trifled with. We don't want war. We don't want conquest. We simply want to be left alone to continue our development in peace." Kex-Tar watched as another wave of his ships vanished, displaced to the outer solar system by quantum fields he couldn't begin to comprehend. His mighty fleet, the pride of the Confederation, rendered helpless not by superior firepower, but by a fundamental misunderstanding of what was possible. "All ships," he commanded, his voice heavy with the weight of the Confederation's first true defeat, "disengage and prepare for emergency FTL jump. We're withdrawing." As his battered fleet retreated, Kex-Tar kept his eyes fixed on the ghost ships, their quantum-shifted forms a reminder that the galaxy was far stranger and more wonderful than the Confederation had ever imagined. Humanity hadn't just defeated them. They had shattered their understanding of reality itself. The Quantum Gambit. The Grand Chamber of the Vex Confederation Council erupted in chaos as High Admiral Kex-Tar's report concluded. The massive holographic display showed the battle footage. Proud Confederation ships helpless against enemies that defied the laws of physics as they understood them. "This is unprecedented," First Speaker Vexthal declared, his ceremonial robes shimmering with agitation. "In 3 centuries of expansion, no species has ever." "They must be destroyed," interrupted Councillor Mexar, her scales flushed with rage. "If word of this defeat spreads, every subjugated world in the Confederation will rise up. Our authority rests on technological supremacy." In the shadows of the chamber, Ambassador Lextai watched the debate with growing concern. She had spent years studying emerging civilizations, and something about this situation felt different. "Perhaps," she suggested, her voice cutting through the chaos, "we should consider the implications of what we've witnessed." The chamber fell silent as she approached the central platform. "The humans didn't just defeat our fleet. They showed us something new. Something our science said was impossible. They're not merely a rival civilization. They're proof that our understanding of the universe is incomplete. Meanwhile, aboard Quantum Command, Dr. Sarah Chen and Admiral Rodriguez monitored the quantum displacement grid as it tracked the movements of Confederation forces. The defeated Third Fleet had retreated to their core worlds, but long-range sensors detected massive fleet movements throughout Confederation space. "They're mobilizing everything," Rodriguez observed grimly. 5 fleets, maybe more. Nearly 10,000 ships. Sarah nodded, her fingers dancing through the holographic display. They can't accept the existence of something they don't understand. Their entire civilization is built on the assumption that they represent the peak of technological achievement. Can we stop a force that size? Wrong question, Sarah replied, pulling up a new display showing quantum probability matrices. We don't need to stop them. We need to show them why fighting us is pointless. The quantum grid suddenly pulsed with activity. New signatures appeared at the edge of the solar system. The Confederation's combined fleets had arrived. But this time, they came with something new. They've adapted, Rodriguez noted, watching the sensor readings. Those ships are equipped with quantum field detectors. Crude ones, but they're learning. Sarah smiled. Good. That's exactly what we wanted. She opened a channel to the Ghost Fleet. All ships, initiate Protocol Omega. Let's show them what quantum warfare really means. Across the solar system, the Ghost Fleet began to move. But instead of engaging the Confederation Armada directly, they started manipulating the quantum fields around them in complex patterns. Space-time itself began to fold and ripple in ways that even their new detectors couldn't comprehend. Aboard the Confederation flagship Eternal Dominion, Supreme Commander Zexnar watched in growing horror as his fleet's formations began to break down. The humans weren't attacking. They were changing the fundamental nature of space around his ships. Multiple quantum anomalies detected, his science officer reported, voice shaking. The humans, they're creating quantum entanglement fields on a massive scale. Our ships are becoming quantum-locked with each other. The effect spread through the Confederation fleet like a wave. Ships found themselves inextricably linked across quantum states. If one moved, hundreds of others were forced to move in corresponding patterns. The mighty Armada was transformed into an intricate quantum dance, every vessel connected in ways that made coordinated action impossible. Receiving transmission from the human command, the communications officer announced. Sarah Chen's hologram appeared on the bridge. Your ships are now quantum entangled across multiple probability states, she explained calmly. Every action one takes affects all the others in ways your systems can't predict. You can't fight us because we don't just control our ships. We control the space they exist in. She paused, letting the implications sink in. This is your final warning. The Confederation built its power on the assumption that technology was a linear progression, that whoever had the biggest ships and strongest weapons would prevail. We're showing you that there are other paths, other ways of understanding the universe. What do you want? Zexnar demanded. Peace, Sarah replied simply, and recognition that humanity must be left to develop on its own path. We don't want your territory or your resources. We want to explore the quantum nature of reality without interference. The question is, can your Confederation accept the existence of something it doesn't understand? As if to emphasize her point, the quantum entanglement field shifted. For a brief moment, every ship in the Confederation fleet existed in a superposition of states, simultaneously present at every point in the solar system. Then they snapped back to normal space, but the message was clear. Humanity could have scattered them across reality itself. Supreme Commander Zexnar looked at his fleet, trapped in quantum paralysis, and made the hardest decision of his career. Stand down all weapons, he ordered. Prepare for full retreat. The quantum entanglement fields dissipated, freeing the Confederation ships. As they prepared to withdraw, Sarah's hologram remained. Remember this day, she said softly. Not as a defeat, but as an invitation to explore new possibilities. The universe is stranger and more wonderful than any of us imagined. As the massive Confederation armada disappeared into FTL, they left behind not just a failed invasion, but a shattered paradigm. Humanity had proven that there were paths to the stars that no one had imagined possible, beyond understanding. 1 year after the failed invasion of Sol system, the Vex Confederation's Grand Chamber had changed. Where once there had been only the voices of conquest and dominion, now there were whispers of transformation. Ambassador Lexti stood before the council, presenting her final report on the Human Quantum Initiative. The implications of their technology extend far beyond military applications, she explained, manipulating the holographic display to show the quantum probability matrices humans had shared. They've opened doors we never knew existed. Their understanding of reality itself challenges everything we thought we knew. First speaker Vexthal, his once proud bearing now tempered by humility, studied the flowing equations, and they offered this knowledge freely. Yes, Lexti confirmed. Dr. Chen calls it the Progress Protocol, the belief that scientific understanding should transcend political boundaries. They don't seek to dominate or control. They want to explore the quantum nature of reality itself. In the year since the confrontation, humanity had proved as sophisticated in peace as they had been in war. Instead of leveraging their technological advantage for political gain, they had offered to help the Confederation understand quantum mechanics. It was a gesture that had shaken the very foundations of Vex society. Meanwhile, on Earth, Dr. Sarah Chen stood in her private lab at Quantum Command, watching a demonstration that would have been impossible just months ago. A joint team of human and Vex scientists had successfully quantum entangled 2 spacetime regions across 50 light-years. Remarkable, her Vex colleague, Professor Nexlen, observed as the quantum field stabilized. A year ago, we would have said this was impossible. Now we're doing it in a laboratory. Sarah smiled, remembering the tension of those first encounters. That's the beauty of science, Professor. The impossible becomes possible, then probable, then ordinary. We just had to learn to look at the universe differently. The quantum display showed feeds from across known space. The Ghost Fleet, once humanity's secret weapon, had evolved into something else entirely. The ships now served as mobile research platforms, their quantum displacement technology adapted to explore the fundamental nature of reality itself. The Council has approved the Joint Exploration Initiative, Nexlen announced, his scales shifting in patterns that Sarah had learned to recognize as excitement. We're officially opening the first quantum corridor next month, stable space-time passages linking our civilizations. And the militant factions? Sarah asked, knowing that not everyone in the Confederation had embraced change so readily. Diminishing daily, Nexlen replied. It's difficult to argue for military supremacy when faced with evidence that your entire understanding of physics is incomplete. The quantum technology you've shared has sparked a renaissance in Vex science. Our younger generations are more interested in exploration than conquest. Aboard the ghost ship Quantum Horizon, now serving as a deep space research vessel, Admiral Rodriguez stood with High Admiral Kextar, watching their crews work together to map quantum probability fields in unexplored space. A year ago, I was ready to destroy your civilization, Kextar admitted, his voice carrying the weight of transformation. Now I realize that would have been the greatest tragedy in Confederation history. Rodriguez nodded, understanding the profound change the Admiral represented. Sometimes the greatest victories come not from defeating an enemy, but from turning them into friends. The ship's quantum sensors suddenly lit up with activity. The scientific team, human and Vex working in seamless coordination, gathered around the displays. We're detecting quantum signatures unlike anything we've seen before, a young Vex scientist announced. These patterns, they suggest artificial manipulation of spacetime on a massive scale. Another civilization that has discovered quantum mechanics. Sarah's voice came through the quantum comm, excited by the possibility. Or something else entirely, Kextar suggested. Perhaps there are even more paths to the stars than either of our civilizations imagined. As the Quantum Horizon prepared to investigate the anomaly, Sarah reflected on how far they had come. Humanity's quantum breakthrough had not just revolutionized space travel or warfare. It had changed how two civilizations viewed the very nature of existence. The Vex had learned that true power came not from dominating others, but from understanding the universe more deeply. Humanity had proved that innovation and cooperation could triumph over force and conquest. Together, they were pushing the boundaries of what was possible. Ready to explore the unknown? Rodriguez asked, looking at their mixed crew of humans and Vex. Kextar's scales rippled with anticipation. Always. After all, that's what brought our civilizations together. The desire to understand what lies beyond our understanding. As the quantum horizon slipped between the folds of space-time, carrying its crew toward new discoveries, it represented more than just a scientific mission. It was proof that the greatest adventures come not from conquering the universe, but from learning to see it in entirely new ways. The ghost ships that had once defended Earth now opened windows into reality itself, and two civilizations that might have destroyed each other instead worked together to explore the quantum mysteries of existence. It was a future that neither humanity nor the Confederation could have imagined alone. And that was exactly what made it beautiful.